How are we going, everybody? Now, I've got my gumboots on today because it was predicted, or they were guessing or forecasting, that we're going to get a lot of rain, 15 to 20 mil today. Haven't got a single drop. So we had some last night. It was a downpour, a really heavy downpour. It lasted for about half hour to an hour and then it just disappeared. Now, it's been quite humid today, which, you know, in some respect is okay because plants love a little bit of humidity, the warmth in the air. But that moisture, sometimes it can get a little bit overboard on our plants. Now, I'm talking about Victoria, folks. Now, for those up there in the northern parts of Australia or any part of the world that has high levels of humidity, I'm sure you've adapted to your methods of growing and planting, and more than likely, your summer crop like your tomatoes will be planted in winter for harvesting in early spring or thereabouts. But for us here down in Victoria with this El Nino, if I've pronounced it correctly, the wet season, we're expecting a lot of rain during summer with a couple of spikes of hot temperature, is the perfect recipe, the perfect combination for disease, for development of disease. Now we're talking about rust, and I'm holding one in my hand here. This little leaf from my orange tree is what it has on it. It's rust, and it can get quite severe. This is one of many leaves. Now there's rust, there's mildew. Now we haven't gone around to the other side of the garden bed to check out my standard roses. Maybe we can do that shortly to see if they've got any black spot. What I have been using is a lot of black grit. It's not a promotion for the product, but it is to tell you that black grit's calcium magnesium silicate with the phosphate is what's going to protect your plants from getting that. Now, how does it do that? It actually, the cell wall, it strengthens the cell wall, the immune system, the root system of the plant, so it builds its own natural defense mechanism so it can resist higher levels of rust, resist mildew, black spot. Now with tomatoes also, they do get problems like fusarium wilt, verticillium wilt, mosaic virus, and many others that can affect your plant's ability to grow and produce beautiful tomatoes. What you need to do if that happens, and I'm looking at my little tomato plants here, they've come on pretty well, folks. There isn't any signs of disease on them besides bird poo like we have here. There's a couple of little holes, but that's weather caused. Here, down below here, let me just pick these leaves off. Now, again, that's weather caused. If you see that happening on the edge of the leaf, that is from the weather, basically. That's dieback from the weather. It hasn't spread through. The most important thing you need to do here, folks, is when you start to see these little markings on your leaves, whether they're spots, discoloration, wilt or deformation, they need to be pruned off. Don't just pitch them off with your fingers. You need to prune them off. And if it is a mosaic virus or another wilt that's causing the plant to completely, just drop or shut down, it has to get out of the garden. Do not look at it for too long and do not leave it in there. And once you have taken it out, you need to wash your hands so you don't spread it anywhere else. Some of these viruses are airborne by moisture, by wind, and obviously by touching and pruning. So when you do prune, and I always say it, use your method like Craig Cassidy says as well. Sometimes I forget to do it, and that's typical of a human being. That's who we are. It's what happens. But try and remember to always spray your tools when you're pruning your plants. And you can pinch out the laterals by hand if you like, providing your hands are clean. And if you need to wash your hands after handling a plant that's got a viral infection. Now, another thing to look out for is the lawn grub and also stem borer. What it is, it's a little grub that gets inside the stem, and I'm sure some of you, if not a lot of you, and I hate saying a lot of you because that means you've suffered with your plants, some may have experienced the tomato plant itself wilting. No other signs above ground other than the wilt. You hydrate it, you're pumping water into it, and it's just wilting. What you need to do is actually cut that tomato plant right down or remove it and open up the center stem. Come over here. This is what I mean. Down in here, well, can we see the stem anywhere? Come over here. This one here, maybe we can see a stem. In here, oh, look at this. We've got suckers coming up everywhere. We'll talk about that in a second. That stem down in here, you won't see anything on the outside, but right down below where it starts from in the soil, a grub can get in and it will actually bore out the center of the stem. Let me get a bit closer here because we can touch base on the laterals. First thing, see we have this massive flower developing on top. That's going to prove to do nothing. It's going to take a lot of energy out of this plant, typical of the big Malacca, of what it does on the first flower. So we need to pinch that off. No need to keep it on there. Get rid of those big giant flowers. It happens on a few varieties, predominantly on the Rouge de Marmande variety, which is the rib tomato. Take out that big flower and discard it. Ignore that. Second, see how I'm growing it on a string here? Nice and clean plant, by the way. No sprays, no need. Black grit does work. Get it into your garden. It's not too late. See, we've got a shoot coming up. One here, another one there, another one down here, it's already developed, another one there, and another one there. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I dare say down here, 7. Now, if I was to leave all these shoots to develop, I would have a shrub here. It'll be full of leaves and very little, if any, fruit on it at all. And those fruit that do develop on it will actually struggle. Well, not struggle, but they won't form to their full capacity, full size. That's because our plant is spending more time pushing energy into the foliage and the new growth. It's typical of a climbing plant like this that it wants to grow. Now, you can simply pinch it out, or if it's a larger little side shoot, it'll snap off quite easily by just bending it to the side. I'll give it a go on this one here. Don't mind my hands, but just have a listen. It just broke. All I did was a left and right, and it comes straight off. That's what you need to do. And when you do go pruning your plants, do not do it on a cold day. Now, today has been 26 degrees. It's very humid. It's great. And I can do this. And why I say you do this on a hot day rather than a cold day is the plant stops growing when it gets cold. It actually becomes almost dormant, you could say, or it stands still. So the sap is not flowing as freely. So that wound that you've created, because every prune you do is technically an open wound. It needs to heal over. So by cutting it off at this time, it should heal a lot quicker than it would on a cold day. So go around and clean them up. Now, what I'm going to leave on this plant here is, because I've got 4 here, 2. I'm going to go with 2 this time. Normally 3 is what I do, but I'm going to go with 2. And I've got one at the back here, one at the back there, which is perfect. That one's going to grow up. So I have now removed pretty much all the suckers down below, except for one on the back. And we've got another one developing here. There's no need for it to stay on. There it is there. Can you see that one there? This one needs to be pinched. There we go. So we've taken them all off and let that develop. If you see disease, folks, just don't ignore it. First point of reference and action is to prune. Second is to spray. Eco-fungicide or our disease control pack is all you need to do. It's not something I recommend you do on a regular basis, meaning every 2 weeks or every 4 weeks on your tomato plants. It's more important that you fix your soil and aerate your plants so you can avoid disease developing on it. We can't control the weather. We'd love to. Some people think they can. I'm not going to go there. But the fact is, what we can control is our little garden. We can control what happens to our plants by pruning and fertilizing well. Moisture, mulch, all the above. You've seen me do it 100 times. I can't repeat myself every time I do a little segment for you. But if you do have problems, you can email me, ask questions, or just go through our library of footage. I was going to say evidence. It is basically evidence. Go through our library of footage of what we've done in the past, because it's 2 years of filming every day, and there's plenty of content there for you to learn from. Okay, so before I go, I've been informed that we've got a price rise happening at the 1st of December. Unfortunately, the online team have been keeping the prices as low as possible for as long as possible. Unfortunately, it's come to that stage where everything's going to go up in price. So they are keeping the prices down until the end of November. Super discounts on everything. Prices that you'll probably never see again. So if you haven't done your shopping and you're waiting for that discount to happen, now's the time for you to shop and take advantage of the great products that look after your garden, just like this here. And they do not have a use-by date, especially black grit, folks. Now, it is Black Friday coming up. We're having our Black Friday end of spring run-out sale. Whatever sale you want to call it, it's starting from now all the way through to the end of the month. Take advantage of it, because the prices are going up as of the 1st of December. And our VIP magazine subscription as well. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe now to get your magazine, your first issue, which is the summer edition. And the only thing we can offer out there for our VIP members is a guarantee of up to 80% off all the time, every day of the year, on a huge range of garden products. So for everybody else who's not a VIP, you're going to be paying a higher price, but for the VIP members, well, take advantage and enjoy and shop at your leisure. It's all at VasilisGarden.com. Until tomorrow, from me, Vasily, Maresi.